Hello and welcome to season 2, episode 1 of Navigating Life with Coach Lowe. Y'all know, as usual, I'm excited because I have the best guests to impress on all of the social media outlets. And so today I have Reggie Smith with me. He is amazing. He got a lot of really, really great things going on. And I cannot wait to hear for you to hear from him. Reggie, I am going to turn the mic over to you in 1 second, but I just wanted to say to y'all, you're in for a treat. Welcome again. And now, Reggie, back to you. Please introduce yourself to the guests.
Hello, hello, hello. My name is Reggie Smith. They call me Reggie D. I'm owner of Pure Heat Gourmet Sauce, Bossing Up Trucking, and All Brothers Logistics Trucking Company. I'm a serial entrepreneur, businessman, and a peak performance speaker, motivational speaking.
All right, all right, all right. That is awesome. So today we are talking about no excuses. We plan to win over here. And
Oh,
Reggie
yeah.
is that guy. He has played to win. It has been some tough times on the journey, but he never made excuses. He was all about handling the business, and the business of good choices have made him to taking him to a place of great success. And so I'm just so excited about this podcast. I just got my words all mixed up. But this is gonna be good. And that is kind of why. So Reggie, today
Uh-huh.
we're talking about no excuses and plans to win. So when I'm thinking about your story and I'm thinking about your start in life, you came from a really good family, a family that was making moves in St. Louis, and
hmm
you decided to go a different way. Unpack
Yes.
that a little bit for us.
I'm an only child, born in East St. Louis, Illinois, back in the 70s. Um, my grandmother, may she rest in peace, she passed on January 18th when we first started speaking about doing this. But she owned several Chinese restaurants. She was married to an Asian guy. And she owned several Chinese restaurants in East St. Louis. My parents worked for General Motors. My mom, she's been there well over 30 years. Um, and I mean, I have no other siblings. My mom had five other siblings, and they're all well off. And I kind of steered off a little bit, along the path. I'll go into that a little bit. I kind of come up in the crack era. So, everybody started experimenting, selling, using, and I did a little bit of both. And it kind of took me the wrong way back in the 90s, when it really hit our neighborhoods hard. Um, my late teen years, 16 through 18, I had to cross through the projects every day coming home, and that lifestyle just it grabbed me and sucked me in. I decided I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to see what all the glitz and glory was about, of the fast cars and the rims back then and the rag top cars, and I didn't want to keep asking my mom for it, so I figured I could go out and get it on my own. And it kind of sucked me in a little bit, well, a whole lot of bit. um, Eventually, I sold a lot, made a lot of money, but at the same time I was using it as well, and it kind of took me under. My parents, nobody really knew what to look for, because at the time, cocaine was a new drug in the urban community, so a lot of people really didn't know what to look for. um, and I was out every day, and I was still keeping myself up, kept my hair cut, kept new cars, shopping all the time. So I kept my lifestyle up as far as my appearance, but my mentals were slowly leaving me because I wasn't doing the right thing and wasn't taking care of my body. And it eventually landed me in prison at the age of 24 for murder and for drugs. Um, and that's pretty much that wrong
Okay.
path. I'll
So
kind of
okay.
drop that
So
on you a little bit.
you went far real fast. I'm like,
Oh yeah, oh
hey.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It
Okay.
didn't. It don't take long for the streets to eat you up. and it don't take long for it to spit you back out either, because it would definitely do that.
Yeah. So okay. So you told a lot of the story real fast, not
Uh-huh.
really about the streets, but that is a true statement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just back up just a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
So you were born to teenage parents and
Hmm.
your dad wasn't really involved, but
Correct.
your grandmother wanted your mom to still succeed. And so
Hmm.
grandma stepped in to help mom, and grandma became like a second mother to you.
Correct,
And
correct. She took
so,
care of me. We lived in the house with her. My mom continued with school, finished school, continued with work, and all the time I'm home with my grandmother. My mom would come home in the evenings after working long hours, and I try to make sure to meet her in the house as much as I could. But with her working so much, my grandmother running the restaurants, and she was working a regular job as well. That kind of left me out there to do a little bit of everything. So
yeah,
yeah, my grandmother raised me for most of my life. My grandmother and my great grandmother. So I was raised in the house of women. Yeah, I was
yeah.
raised by all women.
And so when you talk about the travels through the projects to get home,
Hmm.
what was it? Did you feel like it was your friends, or was it the lifestyle that this street activity could afford you? Because one of the statements that you made was that you the people that you were with, like in the projects and stuff, in the street life period, they did what they did to eat, you did what you did to have more of what you
Right.
wanted.
Correct. Correct. I really didn't need anything that they had. I could have just went and asked for. But you get tired of asking your mom for money all the time when you can go and get it yourself, because she's gonna always give it to me, but it might come with a little fussing. So instead of having to hear the fussing for those new Nikes or that new starter jacket, we was wearing back in the '90s, I decided to go out and make money on my own when I could make, starting off three, four, $500 a day without having to ask my mom for money. Why not at the age of 16, 17? And it was with her giving me so much money, or whenever I asked for it, it was really easy for me to hide that little extra income.
Yeah.
It was nothing more than what she was already giving me. I just didn't have to ask as much. So it was another way of me hiding some of the things that I was doing.
Okay. So when I listen to your story, when we talked, I was intrigued because your grandmother seemed to be the catalyst in your family,
Hmm.
that made sure that everybody did okay. Just
Oh yeah.
like just like she was there for your mom when she became a teen parent and
Hmm.
still wanted her to be great, she supported her and she supported you.
Correct.
And likewise, you, even though you made some bad decisions, you were always able to bounce back. Why no
Yeah.
excuses?
There's no excuse not to be able to bounce back. Every time I fell off, as I call it, I was always able to get myself back on track, because I did pray a lot. We still went to church through everything that I did. And, after prison, I was able to come out and still get a decent job. I hear people tell me, hey, I can't get a job because I got a felony on my record. But then I look at myself, it's never, ever stopped me from getting a job, period. Actually, I've only been turned down for one job, and that's because I tried to work for a bank, a mortgage company. See, that large, conglomerate. They found out pretty quickly I was a convicted felon, and I got turned down for that job. But other than that, I've never had any financial problems or any problems paying my bills legally. Once I came home, as from working. So there's no excuse why a person can't go out and get a job. I tell people all the time, if you can't get the job that you want, two $10 an hour jobs add up to $20 an hour all day long. If you got to work a couple of warehouse jobs, one McDonald's and one Amazon, whatever you have to do, there's absolutely no excuse why you can't eat and pay your bills and take care of your family legally without being in the streets. Absolutely no reason.
Right. And so what do you say to the person that feels like, okay, I really don't want that because that's not the quick way to get to where I'm trying to go, which was what drew you in. So
Hmm.
to the person that says, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go the street way, the fast route. I'm going to go this route so that I can gain what it is that I want, whatever that looks like, because once you get drawn in, it's hard to get away from that.
Oh yeah, it
Seen
is. It
it
is.
growing up because
Yeah.
I too come from an urban area in the city of
Mhm.
Chicago.
Right.
So I get it. So what do you say to that young man, that young woman that's like, no, I need to, get this money right now because I need to feed my kids, whatever the reason is. What was missing from you in the season of your life where you chose to do this that you didn't think about, okay, I could get two jobs to make this what I want it to be? What was missing, and what would you say to someone who might be struggling with that decision today?
Well, it wasn't much missing, I will say. It was just my clear thought pattern, and that's what was missing. Me thinking clearly is what was missing. But what I would say to the youth of today, when you go to prison, you make $10 a month as a janitor, 15 to $20 a month working in the kitchen, and $50 a month as a plumber. I didn't say an hour, I said a month.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to them. You get just enough to buy toothbrush, toothpaste, and deodorant, and probably a couple of envelopes to write home. That's all the money you're gonna make. And your friends and your family, it's just like dying from being in these streets. If you're gone so long, they're going to forget about you. Nobody's going to be there but mom and grandma. And in some cases, depending on your family structure, they're not even there. I was in prison with people that hadn't seen their family in over 10 years, 15, 20 years because the money ran out, the visits ran out. They could no longer do it. We out here, we're trying to fight to survive on the streets right now. We are today. So we can't take care of somebody in there that decided to make a wrong choice or a bad choice. We know that you're taken care of in there. We know they're going to feed you. They're going to give you a place to stay. You have no electric bill, no water bill, and you have no mortgage. We know, they're going to forget about you after a while. Those phone, those accepting those collect calls, that's going to slow down. Those visits are going to slow down. Everything's going to slow down after a while. When people are out here trying to fend for themselves. So, for anybody that's out there doing the wrong thing, they're going to forget about you when you get locked up, and you're going to be working for pennies. So you better go out and go and get you a couple of those jobs, or one decent job if you can land one, rather than going to prison working for them for free. And making nearly nothing, and they're struggling worse than when you were out here with your freedom.
Yeah. Wow. So you said a mouthful.
Yep.
So when you were after you were released from jail, you talked about how you never wanted to work for anybody. So you always had an entrepreneur frame of mind.
Hmm.
So you went to prison not once but twice. So
Yes.
you
Yes.
you originally went for um a murder case and a combined drug conviction. Be-
Correct.
right, and so then following that you did the what do you call it?
I got out, and I opened a debt collection agency. So I
Uh-huh.
did I did debt collections, and I owned nightclubs, and I owned a nail salon, and I wasn't paying my taxes the way that I should
That's
have been.
amazing.
And yeah, and I started having tax problems, and I went from doing street crimes to, that's the state penitentiary, to federal crimes, white collar crimes, and now the feds want to come knocking on my door. So I experienced it a second time in my 40s. Went from my 20s, and then I got out, tried to do the right thing, but I still wasn't all the way on track. I didn't have it all the way out of my system. I figured that I could still take shortcuts, and those shortcuts came and caught up with me a second time.
Right. So I
Yeah.
mean, but that's I just when I think about I could not think of tax invasion to save my life in that moment. I just totally had a brain freeze.
Right, right.
But so so there were a couple of things that happened. So you were successful in the business realm and you were making it happen. You had your nail salon, you had your debt collection agency, you had all of these different things going on. But with that collection agency, something happened. Would you like to share that with us?
Which one? Which
So,
incident? The owner, me getting in bed with the owner and telling him too much of my information. He wanted to know how this young black guy was making all of this money for his company. I was doing debt collections for a guy that owned over 100 payday loan stores. And he came down and he kind of scoped out my business, and he sat around for days and weeks on end trying to figure out what I was doing. And eventually he asked to partner with me and offer me expansion and more money. And I was kind of still, dumb to the business. Like, I was ignorant to a lot of things with business.
yeah.
And I allowed him to come in. The paperwork wasn't straight. I had him signing contracts that actually I should have been signing, and agreements. And eventually he tricked me out of my business. I came in one day and the locks were changed. He pushed me out, and every employee that was there before him that was loyal to me, he felt, he pushed them out the door as well. You know,
So what would you tell someone? So someone new to entrepreneurship, what
mhm.
would you tell them to do to position themselves for success, but to guard themselves from the sharks in the business world?
Contract attorneys, I would always say, get yourself an attorney, read a lot of business books, pay close attention to everything. Never let anybody sign a document without you being there if you're going to have a business partner. And most of all, you have to learn how to move in a room full of snakes without getting bit. You have to.
Wow.
You have to. Yeah. You have to do it because the business world is a cold world out here, and there's a lot of snakes in the business world. Everybody that pretend they have your best interest at heart, they actually don't. Everybody's trying to eat out here. Everybody's trying to make the most that they can make with as little input as as possible. So you gotta learn how to move in a room full of snakes. You really do.
Wow. Yeah, I guess that's just, I mean, that's just how it is. When people
Yeah,
see
it is. It
success,
is.
people are attracted to success. So whether it's
Yes.
success on the low end of things, where you in the streets and you see the glitz and glamour of that, or whether
Hmm.
you are in a upper middle class or middle class
Right.
environment, and those toys and those
Yes.
material possessions become attractive, there's always an attraction and people know what to look for.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely,
y-
definitely.
yeah, so I'm really sorry that that happened, but I'm sure that you took a whole lot of lessons
It
from
was
that
definitely a
experience.
learning. It was definitely a learning experience, most definitely. I do absolutely nothing now without having my attorney to review it. As much as I think that I may know something, I make sure that she gets a copy first, and hey, glance over this before I sign it, ins and outs, make sure all of my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed before I sign anything. That way I don't end up in court in a legal situation or in a situation where I lose anything as a result of someone else and them formulating a contract or making the contract one-sided to benefit them.
Right. That is so good. That is such good information.
Mhm.
And I mean, to the entrepreneur who's listening, I hope that you are taking notes, because this is unfortunately what can happen oftentimes in business, because we try to usurp setting our business up properly. And
Correct.
so that is what Reggie is sharing with you. We have to set up proper business structures and contracts with people when we are trying to do a collaborative work, so that we don't get taken by the snakes and the sharks in the business
Yes.
environment. So
Yes.
all right, so we are past the challenging stuff, so let's get
Yes.
down to the good part. So the good part is that Reggie was released from um, the tax invasion case 3 years ago. and he came back with the shebang, my friends.
Yes, 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 I did.
And so tell us about the trucking business. What's going on there?
Well, while I was gone, I met a guy who was into trucking. I'd already considered it before I left. But while I was gone, I met a guy that was into trucking, and he was actually doing his own taxes while we were in there. And I saw his taxes. You know, he needed some help because he spoke poor English, and I saw that this guy grossed over $1 million. And I asked how many trucks do you have? He said five. You know, so when he told me that, hey, it's time for me to get to work doing some trucking because I know the type of money that I want to see in my lifetime.
Right.
I got out on a Thursday. By Monday, I was in truck driving school. I started driving trucks for Anheuser-Busch after 6 weeks of schooling. 7 months later, I bought my first truck. A year later, I bought my second truck. A year after that, I just bought my third truck, November 23rd of this past year. So
Sweet.
yeah, yeah, and it's been a journey, and it's been hard, but hey, it's been well worth it.
Right. So how has it been for you? Okay, so now you're out, you're in the free world, you're doing business again, and you're doing it well, and you
Correct.
are successful at what it is that you've been doing. And
Hmm.
so you're also now expanding your horizons because you're not just doing local runs, you're doing over the road runs, so you
Correct.
get to see your world from a different view now. And
Right.
so there's I just been watching you on social media, and you here and you there and you over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and so it's just so cool because you got an opportunity to do a do-over, and you're taking great advantage of it. So
Hmm.
that is not the only thing that is going on. So
Right. Right.
this guy right here, during the pandemic, he started messing around with a sauce that he had created a time before in one of his businesses. And he started playing with it during the pandemic because he wasn't traveling. Is that right? And
Yeah, I decided to stay home for a while. Yeah, and play in the
right,
kitchen.
right. So he wasn't driving. He was in the kitchen. He messing with this sauce, and he perfected it. And now he is the man on the hot sauce. And he is at all kind of stores. He's making all kind of deals. So you got to tell us about this hot sauce.
Okay, my sauce is called Pure Heat Gourmet Sauce, and I used to get on people about that. It's not a hot sauce. It's not a hot sauce. It's not a barbecue sauce. It's an all sauce. It's
All
gourmet.
sauce.
It's gourmet. It goes on just about anything. It goes on seafood, chicken, of course. That's where it started. Beef, pork, veggies for the vegetarians out there. My daughter uses potato chips and popcorn and nachos. You can use it on just about anything. I've got three flavors. I have a garlic heat, which is my best seller. I have a sweet and spicy and a sweet and mild for people that don't like hot foods. It's still got a little kick to it, but it's the perfect mix of flavor and heat. Is what I call all three of my sauces. Right now, I am in over 150 stores. I just signed a large contract with Schnucks Grocery Stores. It's the largest independently owned grocery store in the United States, and they have stores in Illinois, Missouri, Wisconsin, and Iowa. And I'm in several meat markets. I'm in a couple of stores in the Fort Worth and Dallas area, one store in Wyoming, and I'm shooting for the Georgia area next. That's where I'm heading with my sauces down to Atlanta real soon. Um, I started the sauce during the pandemic. Well, I started it long before that, actually, at my sports bar. It was called Pure Ultra Lounge. I started off on my chicken wings, but I perfected the sauce during the pandemic. Last year around May, I started playing around the kitchen because everybody kept asking for my chicken wings, and I'm not a great cook, so I knew it wasn't the chicken wings; it was the sauce. So I decided to bottle it and sell it, and it kind of took off from there. And with me having the hustle mentality that I have, the more people that ask for the sauce and, hey, when are you gonna bring it over to my area? I live on the south side, the west side, the north side. I live in this city or that city. Every time somebody asks for the sauce, I made sure that I dropped in that area of town or in that particular city, and I touch bases with store owners and say, hey, taste this. Shove a spoon in their mouth. Once they taste it, it's over with. Hey, go ahead and put a couple of cases on your shelf. Let's see if they sell. If they do, you pay me for that and you order more sauces. And I knew my ultimate goal was to get into larger grocery store chains. So from that point, I started pushing for the grocery stores. And right now, I'm working a deal with a larger grocery store based out of Louisiana that's going to take me into the Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama market that I should have a word on next week. And I know God is good to me, so it's definitely going to happen.
Sweet,
This
sweet.
is his business. He's watching over this business. He's protecting it, so it's definitely going to happen.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I'm really happy for you. But
Thank you,
I
thank you.
am I'm just excited because you weren't supposed to be who you are.
Correct.
I'm sure that plenty of people counted you out way back
Oh
in
yeah.
the day.
Oh
You
yeah. Oh
know,
yeah.
and
Plenty.
so
Yeah.
to see you come to the place that you are, having learned the lessons that you have, and now that's not it. Now you're speaking, you have a
Mhm.
story to tell, so you're
Yes.
helping young
Yes.
people. You're going into the schools in the same
Mhm.
community you came from, and you're making impact. Tell us
Right.
about that.
Well, I've done a couple of speaking engagements with COVID going on. They've been by Zoom. I've done a couple of eighth grade classes already, and I've done a ninth grade class, a freshman class already. Basically, teaching them the routes not to go, telling them my story, and I'm also in telling them my success story as well of where I'm at now in life. And I try to teach everybody, including them, financial freedom. And you don't always have to be a rapper or dribble a basketball or throw a ball to make it in life. There are
Right.
a lot of other ways to make it. And sometimes your path may not lead you to college. And just because it doesn't lead you to college does not mean that you cannot still be a millionaire, because we have a lot of them right now in the United States that's in the top 10 millionaires who did not go to college. So
Yeah.
there's still a million other ways to get it out there. The United States is definitely free enterprise, so it's plenty of money out there. I actually just started another company on a humbug the other day. It's called Bossing Up Trucking. I threw that company together in like a 24 to 48-hour time period because people asked me so much about the trucking business, and I came in and I kind of, I'm not gonna say monopolized the business, but I mastered the business pretty quickly, and I took a company from nothing to mid six figures in a matter of 2 years. And I have a lot of knowledge to share. And I'm not just a teacher. I've actually done it. I've hit every state in that truck. I've hit every mountain in that truck, so I know that I can guide people and help people do the same thing, so they don't have to bump their heads like I did, purchasing their first truck, doing any of their paperwork, dealing with accountants, dealing with the brokers to book their loads. I have valuable information to give. So it's free enterprise out here. You can go out here and get this money a lot of ways legally.
Yeah.
Supply and demand is what it's about.
Yeah, so in our conversations, we talked a little bit about um, just about where you come from and where you are. And you
Hmm.
talked about the transferable principles of the street life and the fast lane versus business. And that really, at the end of the day, is entrepreneurship. So
Yeah, it's business.
tell us about that.
Well, just I would equate business to the drug game. You know, you're counting money all day, you're staying up long hours, you're managing people if you're in the hierarchy of the drug game, and you do the same thing in business. You know, the same thing you're doing out in the streets, you convert those same things over to entrepreneurship. Just like those drugs you're selling, you're convincing people to buy them. You convince these other larger corporations to take a chance on you and your business, the same way you're saving that money to re-up and buy your next shipment of whatever you're doing illegally. You take that same money that you make off of your first business or that first dime that you make, and you invest it back in your business. You have to keep that re-up money at all times in business. When you make that first dollar, that first $10, that first $100, you don't take that money and go on a trip, go buy shoes, go get your hair done. You got to take that money and drop it right back in your business to keep that business flourishing and going on to the next level. Um, and those mental breaks are going to come, and you're going to have those mental breaks where you can take a vacation. But in the beginning and in your first year, it's not the time. You got to continuously reinvest that money. And the same way you stay up all night, say, hey, I don't want to work 8 hours, I don't want to work 10 hours. But if you're out there selling drugs, you're going to have to be up overnight most of the night, doing what you're doing in the streets.
Yeah.
And and you don't have to watch your back. Just pay your taxes and keep hustling and keep grinding, and it's gonna come. It's
That's
definitely gonna come.
I love it. And so many of the young people today, I love what you just said because so many people, the younger generations is what I'm speaking to, they don't see that there is a grind and you do have to
Mhm.
start at a level that may be um the small beginnings. You
Yes.
may have to start small in
Hmm.
order to become big. You talked about you don't have to dribble a basketball. None of those things come suddenly. All of
Right.
them come from work. So you see this person become this person of greatness, but in the background you don't know the backstory.
Correct.
So we
Correct.
all have to pay a price for our success. So
Hmm.
success sometimes takes us away from sleep. It's a sacrifice. Our
Yes.
families, you know what I'm saying? So, in order to live a certain lifestyle, there are some things that you have to say no to. But
Hmm.
our younger generation seem to think that everything needs to happen like this because we have the internet, we have social media, we have all of these different platforms. But at the end of the day, it's about being patient, it's
Correct.
about staying committed to the
Hmm.
plan.
And I don't mean to interject, but speaking on what you're talking about right now, a
Uh-huh.
lot of people, they're afraid to try things because they fail, and they're afraid to jump out there and try new business ventures thinking it won't happen for them. And I was reading something that Draymond wrote from Shark Tank, wrote several books. The 409 Formula 409, the cleaning
Mhm.
solution. They came up with the name Formula 409 because these scientists kept trying and trying and trying and kept failing to make this. 408 times they failed. They failed
Right.
408 times. And on the 409th time, they
Wow.
came up with this perfect cleaning solution. So you're
Wow.
gonna fail. You may fail, you may get it right the first time. But it took them 408 times to come up with that 409 solution. And that's $1 billion cleaning solution now.
Yeah.
It took a lot. So sometimes you're gonna fail. And there's nothing wrong with failing at a business. You just get up and keep trying.
I
You
love
just
it.
get up and keep trying.
I love it, but that's what it's all about. No excuses, playing to win.
Done.
We got to
Yeah.
win this thing. We
Yeah.
cannot give up. And if you're going, I mean, in life, if you make a decision to do anything, you probably gonna fail a few times. It might not be a 408 times,
Hmm.
but even for you, you learned so much in your former in the formative years of your life to till today. You're able to use the lessons back there to bring them forward. So
Correct.
fail forward, don't fall backwards, don't do
Correct.
the hey, fail forward, do what it takes to get the job done. We can
Yes.
win. We
Yes,
can
yes,
win. We
definitely.
don't have to take the fast lane and experience the possibility of incarceration and taking away our
Right.
freedoms and all of these types of things. But we
Mhm.
also have to make sure that the legal side of things are covered.
Oh
And
yeah.
so,
Oh yeah. I think I
so
bump my head enough for everybody out here. I do a lot of mentorship. You can go to my website, reach out to me, ask a question on the website. I'm always there to help everybody in the trucking business, in any type of business, and just mentorship. Period.
So while you're
Um,
there, share with the audience what that website is so that people can, if you don't mind, those that might want to reach out to you and talk to you about where they are or ask a question, get some insight for where they are. What is that website?
I have two websites. One is Reggie, Reggie, D as in David, Reggie D at stlpureheat.com, and Boston without the G at the end, BOSSIN, BostonUpTrucking.com. You can reach out to me on either website and ask a question. Feel free to sign up for my class, and you can order some sauce.
All right. See, I'm ordering my sauce, so y'all got to get the sauce. Look,
Yes, yes.
it is not hot sauce, right, Reggie?
It is gourmet sauce. It's not all hot, and it goes on anything:
That is
fish,
good
chicken,
stuff.
seafood, pork, anything, anything you can think of. I have a sauce for it. It's three flavors.
Sweet, sweet, sweet,
Yes.
sweet. All right, well, let's go ahead and we're gonna wrap it up. But before we leave, I want to ask you if you could share three nuggets to leave the audience with to
Hmm.
help them to know that they don't need to make excuses, but to play to win in this life.
Right. Keep good moral character. That's one thing that I say. Moral character. Push. Pray until something happens. Always. And never give up.
That's
Those are the three
good.
things that I'll leave you with.
That's good. Never give up. Pray until something happens. And what was the first thing you said?
Keep those good moral characters. You
Keep
got
the
to.
good moral
Yep.
character.
Yep.
That's good
Mhm.
stuff. That's good. So y'all heard it from the Reggie D, the pure heat king. Look,
Yes.
that's your little commercial right there for
Hey, the
navigating
sauce
life.
boss is what they call me, the sauce boss.
The sauce balls. All right. All right. All right. That's good. That's good. Reggie, thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you. Thank you.
time, your story, and your great success with
Mhm.
navigating life with Coach Lowe. We are just so grateful to have great people like you on because we need to know that no matter where we find ourselves, someone has been there before us and learned the lessons that we need to grab a hold of in order to move forward. So, thank you for your transparency. Thank you for staying committed to winning in
Thank you.
life.
Thank you for having me.
You are most welcome. And thank you for coming. So, we're going to say good night to our audience and we are going to say good night, Mr. Reggie, the boss sauce king, which was what you could
It's
what
the
they
it's the
call it?
it's the sauce boss. The
The
sauce
sauce
boss.
balls. Look, I
Yes,
don't put it all
yes.
together. I love it. Mr. Sauce Balls, we thank you. So have a good night and thank you so much for joining us. And to the Navigating Life community with Coach Lowe, I thank you so much for hanging in there with us. We hope you enjoyed the show and that you'll join us again. Have a good night. Bye bye.